All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Kaizen coaching training. My name is Jeremy Jenkins. I am super excited to be able to share with you um, some updates for 2026 and all the things that are we expect to see happening over the next few weeks and months here. So welcome, welcome, welcome. As always, it is a pleasure. So we are going to go ahead and presentation here. And tonight's training, we're going to go ahead and review blockchain for beginners because obviously you can't learn enough about blockchain with everything that's going on in the world and you know and definitely with some of the updates that have been happening. So we're going to dive right into that and really try and grasp and understand, wrap our minds around what it is that's happening, this whole thing called Web 3.0, aka blockchain, and how it is affecting literally every part of our lives and will do so more and more as time goes on. It's been interesting. I've been watching in the news how a lot of people are saying, well, there was a message that went out from Elon Musk. We all know who Elon Musk is, right? Richest person in the world. And he actually put out what we would still call a tweet the other day saying the singularity has arrived. And people were asking, what does that even mean? And really, what it comes down to is that things are happening so exponentially now with AI and blockchain and the internet and everything that things are going to we just don't know. There's no way to predict how things are going to go anymore because it's all so brand new and so fast and so accelerated that all the old models, whether it's finance or anything else, is just going out the window. And so we need to be on our toes. We need to be paying attention if we don't want to get left behind because the world is advancing at this point so fast it's going to be mind blowing. So that's what we're talking about is blockchain and decentralization is a big part of that. And we hear it all the time, right? I mean, I don't think there's anybody that hasn't heard of Bitcoin at this point. We all hear about Bitcoin, and a lot of people have played with it, but I would say most people just heard of it and they wonder what it is, and they wonder why this thing called Bitcoin would go from being pennies up to $100,000, and how people are becoming millionaires based off of this new digital currency. And it's crazy for a lot of people, right? Especially older generation, maybe younger kids. They kind of get it and they want to, and they're open to it. Those of us that are a little bit older, we're kind of going, okay, what is this thing? Why should I even care about any of this? Is it really going to affect my life? And the answer is yes, just like the internet affected our lives, and we can't really do a lot without the internet anymore. It's the same with blockchain. It's going to change everything we do, and it's going to dive into all the aspects of our lives, from healthcare to transportation to shopping to all of it, right? So we got to understand it. All right. So here's kind of the basic idea, the basic concept, if you want to give somebody an example of why this is such a big deal. Okay. So just imagine you want to send $1,000 to a friend in another country. Years ago, I would do that. My wife is from Mexico, and to send money to the in-laws down in Mexico, we would have to either go over to a bank or we'd have to go over to some kind of place where they send money, and we'd have to pay a fee, and it would take several days to show up in their bank account, right? And it was just the way it was, and that's all you could do. The only way to send money was through banks and stuff. Nowadays, there's other options, right? They're a little bit better, but what if you could send that same $1,000 in literally minutes for only a penny with no bank in the middle? It just goes right, boom, to the person you're sending it to with the no intermediaries, no third parties, nothing, and very, very tiny fee. That is the promise of blockchain because it takes out all the centralization. Okay. And it introduces something called decentralization that is fascinating. And that's why this is so important because everything is going this direction from banking to shopping, and all the big names that we know and love, Amazon, and, wherever it is, they're all adopting this, and it will be the future of how we live our lives. Okay, so but what is it? What exactly is the blockchain? Well, if you're familiar enough, at least with a ledger, kind of like an Excel file spreadsheet, right? Then it's just a great big giant digital Excel file. You can think of it that way. But the difference is that this Excel file, right? This great big giant ledger with all the data, it actually lives on thousands of computers all across the world that are all talking to each other. And they all have a copy of it. Okay. And so once something is written on there, it can never be erased or changed. So you can't have just one person who might be a bad actor, somebody, with low ethics that goes in and says, oh, I'm going to change this number. I'm going to manipulate something. They can't because all the other computers have a copy of it and they'll all know and they all say, we know what the true version is, right? So everyone can see it, no one can mess with it, nobody can control it, right? And so it becomes transparent and decentralized. It's now powerful and you can trust it. That is the key word here, trust. Okay. So here's the difference between a centralized versus a decentralized entity. Centralized is kind of what we've been used to for the last several decades and even centuries. Okay, this idea of having a bank or having Google or having a government that controls things, that verifies things, and you have to trust them, right? You have to say, oh, I trust my bank, I trust Google, I trust the government. And unfortunately, nowadays, nobody trusts anything, right? You always hear about the fraud and the problems and the hacking and all the different things and the bad actors, right? The criminals. And so people more and more are trusting less and less the things that we used to think were reliable, right? And because they can censor things, they can shut things down, they're susceptible to hacking, they're susceptible to problems, right? So you in the past you had to trust them. That was the best you could do. And the problem was they were the single point of failure. Today, with this new model of decentralization or blockchain, now you have thousands of independent computers that all talk to each other and verify the information. It's almost impossible to shut it down. You can verify it yourself. You can look at everything going on, and there is no single point of failure. It's an amazing, amazing model, and it's being adopted in so many ways. But where it first started was back in 2008. Okay, well, actually, a little bit before that. I mean, the concept of decentralization and cryptography actually began back in the 1990s, right? And then it kind of developed, and there are individuals who were working on things like, oh, we could use this for money. They came up with an idea for bit gold and decentralized money and stuff. And then there was this idea of encrypting things and securing things in a chain and stuff. But really, where it became real was in 2008. We had a whole global financial crisis, and banks were about to collapse, and the government had to come in and save the banks. We all know this. It was a crazy time for those that were around back then. And so all of a sudden, in October of 2008, a pseudonym of Satoshi Nakamoto publishes this concept about Bitcoin, right? Which is this amazing idea of a model for currency that's digital and protected and decentralized. And so all of a sudden it became, something in the very beginning, not a lot of people knew about it, but it started. January 3rd, 2009 was the very first Bitcoin, and it just kind of grew and grew over time. People began to believe in it more. They began to see the value of decentralization. And then around 2014, there was this birth of something, the kind of the next generation of it, which was called Ethereum, right? And so now they realized, hey, we can do this more on more things than just money. It doesn't have to be just a transfer of value. It could be all kinds of things, right? And ever since then, now you've got companies that are realizing, oh, the power of blockchain, the power of decentralization can be used in all kinds of stuff, from supply chain to healthcare records, even voting, all kinds of stuff that you can now trust. And so that's what we're seeing, and it's going more and more. Companies from BlackRock to JP Morgan and Walmart, they're all starting to use and adopt blockchain in everything they do. Okay, so why does this matter? Because again, trust. Trust is expensive. In the past, we had to pay for it, right? You had to have intermediaries, whether it was banks or notaries or lawyers or platforms, and they charged a lot of money in fees and everything to provide that verification and that trust. Okay. And the problem was that they could make mistakes or they could even act against your interest. In fact, in many countries, you can't even open a bank account, right? More in the like developing countries of the world, more than 90% of people can't even get a bank account. They just can't even afford it because you got to have all kinds of money. You got to prove all kinds of things. So people just, they live with cash and that's it. And of course, there's censorship, right? In certain countries, unfortunately, we see that, right? Where even the government itself can go in and block your money, block your speech, and cause problems. So blockchain is a solution for all of that. It removes the middleman, it becomes cheaper, it becomes faster, and it becomes more fair. And now you can trust. Okay. And that is the key thing. But how does it actually work? So let's take a look at this. So let's assume that in this situation, Alice wants to send Bob a Bitcoin, right? Now, back in the day, okay, maybe that, Bitcoin was only worth $1 or $20 or even $100. Nowadays, Alice sending Bob a Bitcoin, almost $100,000, that's a big deal. But still, we'll just keep it simple for fun. And what happens then is the transaction is requested, right? So Alice says, I'm sending a Bitcoin to Bob. Well, it goes off into the blockchain, and all those thousands of computers, what we call nodes, they're checking on their ledger, on their record to see, oh, does Alice actually even have a whole Bitcoin to send, right? Is she just making this up? Well, they all agree. Everybody agrees. They all talk to each other and say, yep, 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 yep. Alice has one Bitcoin. Okay, cool. So they allow it to go through, right? And then that transaction is added as a block, okay, a record on the ledger. Okay, it's tied to all the previous blocks with all the other records, and it's then encrypted through cryptography to be secure and safe and permanent. And then it finally goes to Bob. Bob, his wallet now receives that Bitcoin, right? It's verified. They all agreed. Okay, that Bitcoin changed hands from Alice to Bob. Bob now has it, and it's done, and it can't be changed, can't be manipulated, and so no fraud could take place. And it all happens pretty quick, right? Depending on which blockchain you're using, it could take minutes, maybe hours, some are in seconds, just depends. But that's the idea of it. It's really, really fascinating. So here's kind of an example of, if you want to think visually, okay, the advancement of blockchain and how it's kind of gone from the beginning and where it's going in the future, right? So if you think of Bitcoin, that was the first one, okay, 2009, and that was kind of like a horse and buggy, right? It's slow, it's expensive, only the rich people can use it, right? That kind of thing. And but what it did was it created digital money, okay? It still was kind of clunky and slow and costly, right? Well, then the next generation was the Model T Ford, okay? So think about that. Oh, the first cars, Model T Ford. Well, that was Ethereum. So when Ethereum came out in 2015, right, then all of a sudden it was now more affordable. Think of the assembly line. right? Now all of a sudden it could be available for more people and more uses. Okay, they introduced smart contracts that anybody could use to build apps on. That was fascinating. The whole Ethereum project, fascinating, amazing. Well, guess what? Then in the 1960s, we had muscle cars, right? And they were faster, they were more powerful, but they guzzle gas, right? They were kind of expensive. And that's what happened after that. All of a sudden, Ethereum developed into something where it was awesome, it was huge, and there was a lot of power, but it was wasteful and it was risky. Okay. So from 2017 to 2018, they introduced this idea of ICOs or initial coin offerings. And so all of a sudden you had a gazillion coins. There's like literally thousands of coins now. But what they are is they call them layer two or layer three coins, right? Because they live on top of the layer ones, which are the original Bitcoin, Ethereum. There's a few others out there, but all these other, what a lot of people call crap coins, right? They're just they're just for fun. They're or meme coins. That's another term for them. And so it's kind of just messy, right? When you're dealing at that point. Then all of a sudden, in what we'll say 2020-ish time frame, right? You can compare that to the 1990s Japanese cars, where they're now figuring out how to be more reliable. They're figuring out how to be more efficient, to have more global standards. Okay, so now you're introducing these ideas of stable coins and layer two roll-ups, and so this is now faster and cheaper. So you've got things like Polygon and USDT and some of these others that so it's now more stable and less volatility going on, right? And the price going up and down, and who knows what it's worth. And okay, so stable coins are introduced, so that's good. But then around 2022 to 2024, what do we get? Ooh, now we've got this idea of hybrid cars like a Toyota Prius, right? Where now you got the best of gas and electric. And guess what? Now you've got interoperability. So all of a sudden they introduce concepts like Polkadot and Cosmos and bridges. So now different blockchains can talk to each other and transfer back and forth a lot easier. So now we have this idea of a multi-chain world, okay? And that brings us to today, where it's kind of like the Teslas, right? Tesla, full electric, they're fast, over the air updates, okay? You got super fast transactions within, 1,000 to 65,000 transactions per second. You can plug apps into them, and that's what you have with blockchains and coins like Solana and Aptos and XRP. Okay, so that's kind of where we are today. But where are we going? What's the future, right? Where is the future going? Think about cyber trucks and robo taxis. Have you guys seen these cars? I was amazed. I saw a video the other day of these robo taxis in China, where you can get on your phone and just request a robo taxi. It shows up, and you just tap your phone to it. It opens the door, and there's no driver, right? It's completely autonomous. And you just get in, and because you told it where you were going, it just takes you there. You don't have to talk to anybody. It just knows how to get there, right? It's all automated, okay? And it's all clean, AI powered. That's the future. You don't drive it, it drives itself. There's zero friction. It's embedded everywhere. It's powered by decentralized data and AI. Okay, that's where we're headed. That's where the future of blockchain and where this is going to integrate into everything we do. So we're at a really amazing point in history right now, and it's just going to be fun to see what happens over the next several years and decades as this continues to develop. So I'm excited for one. But what it really does is it goes beyond money, right? That's kind of the point here, is that now this tokenization, this use of blockchain, it goes into everything from real estate, right? Do you know that in Tokyo, you can own 1% of an apartment building from your phone thanks to blockchain? Yeah. Yeah. Art and music, right? You can prove you own the original. So the whole idea of copyright and being able to prove that that is your music or your artwork or whatever, you don't have to send it into the copyright office and trust the government, right? And pay all the fees. You can just do it right on a blockchain through an NFT and get royalties forever. It can be integrated into stocks and bonds, right? You can trade 24/7. You don't have to wait for the bell to ring, Monday morning, bell rings, right? And then the end of the day, the bell rings, it's over. No, it's all the time with instant settlement, no 2-day waits, all that stuff. Everything for real world assets like gold and diamonds and carbon credits. You can actually own real assets on the ledger, on chain, right? It's not just an IOU from a bank, and you say, oh, you know what? I'm going to go over to the bank and pick up my gold. That no, the bank doesn't actually have the gold, right? No, they just have an IOU. So no, you can know that what you have on the blockchain is tied to an actual block of gold sitting in a vault somewhere. Okay, you can know that, and then of course the most cool thing for me, I think, identity and credentials, right? You can prove who you are, your diploma, your driver's license, all those different things. No more, oh, I forgot my password. No more, oh, stolen identity, right? And all that stuff. No, it is amazing what's going to happen over the next little while with this. And it really is happening right now. Okay. BlackRock and Fidelity, they are, they've got the largest tokenized fund right now on the planet with over $1 billion. In Switzerland and Singapore, and the UAE, they're doing tokenized government bonds. Walmart and IBM are using blockchain for their supply chain to know exactly where your food came from, right? Where your groceries, maybe they have a problem with E. coli in your lettuce or your spinach or something, and they need to track where it went, which stores have it, and they can do that now. You got companies like Ondo Finance and Centrifuge, where they've got billions in real world assets, invoices, treasury bills, all tokenized. And you even have entire countries that are doing this with real estate here in the US, Germany, Australia, and more. This is not something that's off in the future. It's now. The train has literally already left the station. Okay. So what are the advantages? Of course, 24/7 markets, fractional ownership. You can own 0.001% of anything, instant settlements in seconds, not days. It can be truly global. Anyone with the internet can participate, and it's programmable. You can set in what they call smart contracts, so paying royalties and all the things tied to it. It pays out automatically forever. You don't have to worry about third parties and mistakes and that kind of stuff. It is really cool. Are there challenges? Of course, right? Because yes, especially Bitcoin, it still uses a lot of energy. Right? Bitcoin mining, it uses, they were saying 40% of the world's electricity goes to Bitcoin mining, which is insane, but it's still happening. And so the idea of changing protocols to proof of stake instead of proof of work is going to fix that. And you see that with these newer blockchains like Ethereum and some of the others we mentioned, right? All of that's changing. Regulation is catching up. It's still not 100%. So a lot of the governments here in the US and others are still defining it. They're still figuring it out, but they're getting really close, okay, to really defining. There's an act in our government right now called the Clarity Act that should be passing shortly here in the next few months, first part of 2026 in the United States, and other countries are doing the same. Are there scams? Of course. Is there hype? Of course, right? A lot of scams still out there. A lot of people still taking advantage of others through crypto scams and stuff. So you got to be careful, okay? But the user experience is getting better every month, and people are getting more educated. And so it's just like with the birth of the internet in the first place. When the internet first came out, all of a sudden we started getting spam emails and all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Because the bad actors figured out how to use this new technology to take advantage of people. So it's messy in the beginning, but good news is that it's advancing and it's becoming easier to use every single day. So here's the analogy, right, from just the internet. Back in 1995, when the internet was very first been coming online with AOL and Google and some of these others, people said, well, the internet is slow, it's complicated, full of scams and stuff. Do I really need this, right? And there was resistance. People resisted it. A lot of the older generation didn't want to deal with it. Okay, but here we are, right? You're now reading this on the internet, where you're watching it on the internet. Okay, 2009, Bitcoin and blockchain. It was slow, complicated, full of scams, and all that. But by 2035, what are we going to be saying, right? And here's some images just to kind of show what the internet looked like back in 1995 and what the first Bitcoin, what they called forums looked like back in 2009, and how people traded Bitcoin back and forth. It was just way more complicated than it is today. But people did it for fun, right? It was a hobby back then. But now some of those people became the wealthiest people on the planet because they were involved in something early on. So blockchain, again, is not only about cryptocurrency. Okay, so if you hear the word blockchain, you instantly think, oh, that's just a crypto thing. That's just a one of those scam thing. Don't do that. Okay. McDonald's.com started out pretty simple as well, right? Here's their first website, right? So what blockchain is all about is who we trust and how the world will share value in the 21st century. Unlike Web 2.0, okay, Web 2.0 was social media. Right? With Web 3.0, we have the opportunity to now have ownership by contributing to blockchain through either node ownership or through participation in the ecosystem. So just the same as when people bought a domain name back in the 1990s, right? Oh, I own pets.com. Right? You could go, whoa, everybody going to pets.com to buy pet products, right? If you own that domain name, it was simple and easy and people could remember it, and boom, right? So the person that owned pets.com, they own a really valuable piece of real estate on the internet because it was simple and easy and descriptive. Okay, and that's what people did through the 90s and early 2000s. They were buying up domain names to try and drive traffic to whatever it was they were promoting. Well, with blockchain and Web 3.0, we can now own and be part of and participate in the ecosystem of blockchain. And it's not that complicated to do. So if that sounds like fun, and if you're ready to be rewarded for being a visionary, let's talk. Okay. So that is all things about blockchain and the kind of why it's important and everything. If you're still interested, if this is still something that you think you might want to hear more about, we now have a way to participate in this new future economy and community that is making a big change in the way blockchain is understood for people. We're bringing blockchain to the masses in a way that, in my opinion, is very innovative and very fun and very easy. So if you want to know more about it, stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and switch presentations here, and we're going to talk about a specific blockchain that I think you're going to really, really be happy about. So introducing Cirrus Networks. Okay, so Cirrus Networks was born in early 2025, and they had a vision. They had a vision of making blockchain, making the idea of cryptocurrency and rewards and all that something that anybody could be part of. Everyday users would be able to finally realize, oh, okay, because all the stuff in the world is going blockchain, but people are still scared of it, right? So what if we could take everyday items, everyday concepts that we all know and love, and tokenize them, right? Put them into a blockchain where now the average person that they don't have to be tech savvy, they don't have to understand the concepts of the internet and ledgers and all this stuff, right? What if I just want to participate in blockchain and just do everyday stuff, right? Like live your life, but know that you're being rewarded for living your life because it's part of a blockchain. Wouldn't that be cool? So that's what Cirrus put together. And before I start, I do have to say we have a disclaimer here because, again, a lot of people misunderstand and they assume that anything to do with blockchain and crypto stuff is all about investment. It's all about making money. It's all about getting rich quick and all that stuff. No, not at all. Is there potential for being rewarded and earning money? Absolutely, but there are no guarantees. And just like anything, it could go up, it could go down. It could become something very, very valuable. It could also become nothing, right, at the end of the day. So there's no promise, no guarantee of financial return or passive income or any of that. Okay, only potential, only potential. And so just know that as we talk about this. And if you, after seeing it all, still feel like it's something you want to be part of, great. Then that's why we're here. All right. So, welcome to the future. The world is changing and it is becoming decentralized, right? Why? Because people are starting to actually reject this idea of big tech, big government, big bank, all these things that are controlling our lives, right? Unfortunately, as I said, we just don't trust anymore. It's hard to get that trust. We'd rather have the power in our own hands. We'd rather kind of be more in control of everything that's going on. And so we're just tired. We're tired of the scams. We're tired of the manipulation. We're tired of all those things, right? Where all these tech giants are getting rich, right? Whether it's Amazon or Google or whoever, they're all getting rich off of our data, off of our information, off of our transactions, and they silence us, right? And big banks take our money, right? We put in our money in our checking account or savings account, whatever, and what do? They give us a miserable, less than 1%. Here's your interest rate for letting us have your money. And then what do? They go and lend it out for 6, 7, 10%, whatever. So they're making all this money, and we're getting nothing on our money. It's not fair, and that's what they've always done. That's what big tech and big banks and big government, all of them, they've always done that. Okay, but a new, fair, transparent, and decentralized community is starting to emerge, and that's where Cirrus is taking us. Okay, now why does decentralization matter? Of course, the technology is making the world a better place for people, for individuals. And we see that in companies like Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and Turo and Fiverr and Airbnb. What these companies have done is utilize what we call Web 2.0 to be able to let individuals, right, say, oh, I don't want to work for a taxi company. I just want to work on my own, right, with my own car. Great, you can do that thanks to the Uber app, right? You can become a driver and drive people around. You can clock in, clock out whenever you want, right? And just give people rides and boom, you get paid. Same thing with Lyft or DoorDash, take people their food, right? Turo, if you have a spare car, you want to rent it out to people. And instead of people going to Hertz or Enterprise or Budget or whatever rental car, they can rent it right from you. And Turo handles all the transaction, right? So really cool. Fiverr, same thing. If you want to know graphic design or you know how to write songs or you can do all kinds of other little things, Fiverr, you can do stuff and people will pay you for it. And Fiverr is that intermediary that makes it all possible. Airbnb, you need to rent out your extra spare bedroom, right? Or you have an extra apartment that you want to rent out. Great. You don't have to get a license from Hilton or Marriott or something to do that. You can just put it on Airbnb and rent it out to people. The difference, though, is that you don't own those companies, right? You still can get paid, and it's great, and it's better than the alternative because before you had no alternative, but now you still don't have ownership in it. Okay, it means that you're only making money when you're driving, or you're only making money when you're renting out your room, or you're only making money when you rent out your car, okay, or you're only making money when you're delivering the food in DoorDash. But what if you could make money all the time, even when you're not doing those things, right? That's what having a decentralized model does through blockchain ownership. Okay? That's what's so cool about this. This replaces big tech centralized grip on everything in our lives. And now we become what we like to call a digital landlord, and we can actually benefit from ownership and participation in the community. Right? So, this is happening with us or without us, right? Henry Zhang, the CEO, he said Amazon was an online bookstore for years before it sold everything, literally everything. You can find anything on Amazon now. Okay. Well, tokenization is the same. It starts with simple, trusted assets before it scales into the complex. It can now literally everything is going on blockchain and tokenization. Fred Earsom, okay, he's the founder of Coinbase. He said everything will be tokenized and connected by a blockchain one day. Everything, everything we do is going on the blockchain. So we might as well get used to it. We might as well figure out how to take advantage of it. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, which is literally the biggest company on the planet. They own almost everything. Well, guess what? He said, we're at the very beginning of the tokenization of all assets from real estate to equities to bonds. Okay. This is happening. It really is happening. And Eric Voorhees, he's founder of Shapeshifter, which is another wallet exchange, okay, crypto exchange. He said, I'm more confident with crypto than with banks or fiat currency because I can actually control it. And the money supply is transparent. I know they're not just printing money out of the air, right? It's all stated up front. It makes online shopping a lot easier and a lot safer because, you know, he didn't say this, but I will. It's not now non-inflationary. The dollar loses its value out every single day, right? And if you have money sitting in the bank, it's just losing value, losing value. Why? Because the government just keeps printing more and more dollars, and so they keep losing their value. And that's what inflation is. Well, we don't like that. We want something that's non-inflationary, something that has a limited supply, and that's what crypto tokens are, which is a fascinating concept. So here's the other thing. US banking is about to go blockchain, like all the banks. Okay. A new report from Bank of America says the regulatory talk phase is over and implementation is here. It's happening. Okay. So, yeah, like even the FDIC, you know, the, oh, it's FDIC insured and everything. Well, guess what? They're talking about stablecoin for banks. Okay. It's all happening. The government passed the Genius Act, which defined what stable coins are and what you can do with them. Really, really fascinating. So, yeah, Bank of America says, hey, banks, they must get fluent on blockchain now because everything is coming here. And even the SEC, right, the Security Exchange Commission, has given the green light for putting stocks and bonds and treasuries on the blockchain. Okay. Like this again, this is happening. It's not in the future. It's not maybe. It's not funny money, right? I keep hearing that all the time too. Oh, crypto, it's just funny money. It's monopoly money. No, no, no. The pipes of Wall Street are being rebuilt with blockchain, and that could change everything, right? So this is happening. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And we have the opportunity to be in at the very beginning. So let's talk a little bit about rewards and loyalty, right? We all love getting free stuff with loyalty programs. I still remember years ago, there was a little Mexican place here in Utah where I live called Cafe Rio, and they had a little punch card. And you know, you go and you buy some meals, and for every meal you got a punch, right? And after 10 meals, then you got a free meal. And they made a big deal about it because you go through the line, right? And there's a lot of people in line. And then if you got to the cashier and you had the little punch card and you had a free meal on it, everybody would yell, free meal, and all the cooks and the servers, everybody would all shout, free meal, and the whole restaurant would hear that you just redeemed your little punch card for a free meal. It was so cool, it was so fun, and you felt proud of yourself because you got a free meal, right? Well, it creates loyalty, right? It's recognition. It was fun. It was fun to get a free meal at Cafe Rio because it wasn't just saving money, but it was the enthusiasm of the whole concept. Okay, well now all the companies do it, whether it's stars at Starbucks or my McDonald's rewards to get free food on the McDonald's app, or Delta Sky Miles, you get a free flight, right? Just for collecting Sky Miles and stuff. All the companies today have some kind of program to keep us coming back for more, right? They're fun, they're exciting, and we love it. All right. Well, guess what? The future of rewards and loyalty, thanks to blockchain, is changing completely. We have a huge advantage now. Why? Because in the past, stars could only be redeemed at Starbucks, right? Sky Mile, it can only be redeemed at Delta. But what if the rewards that you earn could not only be used on everyday services like mobile, streaming, conferencing, cashback shopping, travel, and more. But what if, on top of all of that, what if you could actually convert those rewards into dollars? Whoa. Yeah. Thanks to blockchain, that now becomes possible. So if that sounds cool, well, guess what? Welcome to the Node blockchain, because that's what the Node blockchain is all about. Node, offered by Cirrus Networks, offers blockchain powered AI integrated products that we all use on a daily basis that also offer daily rewards. Okay, so it's built on a decentralized blockchain, of course, for data sovereignty and transparency, but it now rewards you for your participation and ownership in this groundbreaking community. So really, really fun. So there's two ways to be involved with this. Okay. Like I mentioned, either ownership or participation, because you can do both. Okay. And it's all about living your life and being rewarded. So through active contribution, right? So the first part of this is active contribution ownership by hosting a node, okay, by making the blockchain a reality, by having your little piece of the blockchain, you're playing an important role in supporting and securing the blockchain network. Okay, you can actually host a node and have that digital ledger on your node, so you are helping to make sure that it's secure and robust and all that, right? Also, community members may receive digital tokens for their contributions to the ecosystem, okay, which fosters a more decentralized and resilient network. And not only that, the other really cool thing about all of this is that as a participant or an owner, you also have a voice. You have the ability to vote and influence the governance of the blockchain, because it actually becomes a community, right? There's a constitution to it. And as owners, we all have a vote. We all have a say in the future of the blockchain, and how we want to see it grow and develop. It is really, really cool. Okay. So, ownership. Let's understand that first. So, the first thing, and probably the most, I guess, easy to understand, is this idea of just you have your own node. Okay, you're an owner in the blockchain network, and owning a node is kind of like creating or having a generator for it. Right? So you have blockchains out there. It needs power. It needs energy. It needs people to kind of plug in, right, and give their little bit to it to keep it alive. And that's what you do when you host a node. You're fueling that blockchain ecosystem. You're making it more robust. You're giving it more redundancy and all those things. Okay, and it's seamless. It's easy, right? Not expensive. Okay, hosting your node. It's literally only like $1.75 a month. Okay, it's super inexpensive to participate in this, right? and but fun, right? And easy to do. Okay. So think of it this way. This is a fun way to think of it. When you own a node, it's the difference between owning the golden eggs and owning the goose that lays the golden eggs. Okay. So when we talk Bitcoin, we talk Ethereum, all these different cryptocurrencies that are out there, or tokens, well, those are the eggs. But what creates those tokens and coins and stuff is the nodes that make the blockchain run, right? And those are the geese. Okay. So by having a node, by purchasing a node and hosting it, it's like buying a goose and just making sure it stays alive, giving it food. Okay, so you got to keep your goose alive. You got to buy green, right? Keep your goose alive. And as long as you do that, give your goose, green and water, it will continue to lay golden eggs for you. And that's what a node is. A node, you buy it once, and then you just pay the little tiny monthly hosting fee to keep it alive, and it will pay out golden eggs for you for the rest of its existence. Okay, really cool. So, how do you do it? Well, the price of nodes is as follows. You can get a full nodey node right now for one time, $1,197. One time purchase. That's it. Okay, this is not monthly. This is not, like, oh, you got to keep doing it. No, one time. And then just pay that hosting fee, right? $1.75 a month. And then you're good. And it's going to pay you out digital rewards every single day. If you can't afford that, if you think, oh, that's a bit much, guess what? You could do a half a node to start out with, right? You say, no, yeah, okay, I could do 597, right? And just get half the rewards, right? Half the golden eggs that a full node would pay, and do that. Or, you know what? That's even a bit steep for me. That's okay. You could do a quarter node, right? $297 one time, and you just pay that hosting fee, and away you go. But some people might think, you know what, even that's a bit much. Even 297 right now, just not my budget. And that's okay, because you can actually do what's called a mini node. Okay. It's $100. And they do like to say, hey, you know what, if you're going to go mini, at least maybe put it on a subscription so that you could, just kind of buy one mini node every month, right? Maybe $100 a month isn't so bad, right? And then once you buy 10 mini nodes, you have the equivalent of a full node. Okay, so it's almost like financing it, kind of, but it's not, because it's not any kind of finance. It's not financing, right? It's not like, oh, you owe this much, right? But you can do it that way, where you could buy, one mini node every month, and just build it up, right, until you get to 10 mini nodes, which is the equivalent of and but you can stop anytime. Okay, so if you did put it on a subscription, there's no obligation, no commitment. You can stop, you buy two, and you're done. Okay, fine, right? And with mini nodes, they only cost 75 cents a month to host, so they're actually a little bit cheaper that way. So mini nodes, great way to participate if you just want to get your feet wet, try it out, see what you think, and start earning those daily rewards. And it's not like they expire, right? It's not like the mini node expires after a month and it's gone, right? No, you buy a mini node and it's yours for life. Okay, you own that mini node for the rest of the blockchain's existence. So yeah, really, really easy way to get started. Okay, now, so by doing this, we become digital landlords, right? And a digital landlord, that's a name that they actually trademarked. Okay, you can see the little TM thing on there, because that's the idea. We are digital landlords. But let's take this to another analogy, right? We like the idea of the golden goose and we're getting the eggs, but maybe it's easier to visualize it like owning an apartment building. Okay, if we're a landlord of an apartment building, well, if you bought a full node, that would be like owning a 10-unit apartment building. You own the whole thing, and you would then be getting the rent money from all 10 units, right? 100% of the total rent. If you bought a half node, that would be like owning 5 units out of the building. And if you bought a mini node, that would be like owning just one of the apartments in the 10-unit building. Okay. So that's another way to think of it. You're a digital landlord, and now you're the rewards are like rent money in a way. Okay. Well, here's some real world examples. And again, disclaimer, these are only examples, okay? The rewards could be worth less or more, or who knows, Okay, so no guarantees here, but just examples. Let's assume you bought a full node. Well, currently, as of January 2026, a full node is paying out about 340 Node tokens every single day. Okay, so you bought that node, you got the hosting. Guess what? You can log into your wallet and you can see the payout every single day at midnight. It pays out 340, 340, 340, okay, into your wallet. Now, let's just assume that a Noti token is worth 1 cent, okay, just to keep it simple. Well, that's $3.40 per day. Or if it were actually worth 10 cents, right? If the Noti token all of a sudden, became 10 cents in value, like some coins do, right? Some coins are worth less than a penny, some coins are worth a penny, some coins are worth $1, some coins are worth $10, some coins are worth $100,000, right? Just there's all the different coins, they all have different prices and they all go up and down. Okay, but for simplicity's sake, let's assume the Noti token becomes worth 10 cents. Well, guess what? Your full node now pays out $34 per day. Okay. And if right, the Node token were to become worth $1 per token, well, then that amazing golden goose laying, goose or golden egg laying goose is now paying out $340 per day. Okay. But even just 1 cent, let's just assume it was 1 cent. Well, that would be $1,241 in the first year, right? Because you take $3.40 per day times 365 days. And guess what? You got 1,241 in the first year. And then the daily rewards continue for the next 19 years for the blockchain rules. Okay. So you can kind of see, even at 1 cent, you kind of break even after just 1 year. And then after that, right, and you just get paid tokens every single day. So now, could they go to zero? They could. They could. But will they? We don't know. We don't think so. Right? And then, of course, a half node, a quarter node, a mini node are literally just half, quarter, and 1/10 of the same payout. Okay. So that's what a node does. That's a real world example of what it could be worth to you, potentially, right? Again, no guarantees. All right. Well, let's talk about now participation. Okay. So maybe you're not interested in being an owner. Maybe the idea of owning a node is just beyond you. No, I don't want to do that. I'm not into that kind of stuff. And that's fine. Totally fine. How about this? What if, what if there was a way to participate and earn rewards without having to be an owner? Well, you can, because Cirrus and the Node blockchain actually is unique in this one sense, in that you don't have to own a node to be a participant. Okay. And that's because they've introduced something called an X1 micronode. Well, what's that? What's an X1 micronode? Well, these are services that everyone knows and loves. Things like digital storage, things like streaming movies, things like traveling, things like shopping with an AI powered card, things like cell phone service, things like meetings like we're doing right now. Okay. All these different kinds of services, and there's so many more that will be coming in the future. They've got really a whole list of things that they want to bring to the Node blockchain that are services that people do all the time, okay, and they're comfortable with and they're paying for anyway. And the beauty of it all is that if it's a subscription, for example, right? Like we all pay for Netflix. Who doesn't pay for Netflix or or Disney or something, right? Some kind of streaming platform, Hulu, right? I think I pay for like 4 or 5 different ones. Who doesn't travel every once in a while, right? Who doesn't go shopping? Who doesn't want to go shopping and use their discount platforms, right? Who doesn't pay for their cell phone service every single month? I know I do. If I stopped paying for my cell phone service, my family would shoot me. Right? No, we live on our phones, right? And so these are things that people do all the time, every month. They don't stop, right? It's not like, oh, okay, I'll try it for a month or two, and and then I didn't like it, right? There's any kind of membership, a gym membership or a car wash membership. There's all kind of memberships nowadays that we all pay for monthly subscriptions on. Well, these monthly subscriptions become micro nodes that pay out every single day. Okay, so node is kind of like mixed use apartments. So these services are kind of like the potential restaurants or businesses that are on that first level of the building. Right? So not only do you get rewarded for owning an apartment, but you also get a share of the commerce that is happening in the storefronts on the bottom. That's the value. Okay. It's not just the rent money for the tenants, but also all the things that are happening. Right? If they're selling pizzas, you got a little pizza place in the bottom floor of the apartment. Guess what? Yeah, there's revenue from that, right? There's commerce happening, okay, because of real products and services. So, Cirrus Networks is emphasizing the importance of having a purpose-driven blockchain, right? It's not just this pie in the sky and oh, we're tying into oil and gold and who knows what. Those are good things. I'm not saying they're bad things, right? But they're they're kind of just out there and they're long term and they're and it's not for everybody. But what is for everybody is your monthly cell phone subscription, right? Your streaming, your going shopping, all those different things, transactions on a debit card, all those kind of things are stuff that everyday people do every day. Okay. And that becomes the backbone of this economic structure of the new blockchain and the community. And that's what makes it so different from anything that's out there. So the other really cool thing about it, though, is that we have what we like to call the triple advantage. Okay, because it's one thing to say, oh, we're bringing cell phone, we're bringing streaming, we're bringing all these different things, but it's a whole nother thing to say, not only are we having things that people want to do every day, but they're better. Like they're actually better services than the competition. And not only are they better in their features, but they're better priced as well, right? And not only are they better priced, they pay better rewards. It's amazing, right? If you had a product that had better features, that actually was cheaper than the competition, and it paid you daily rewards on top of all of that, wouldn't it be a no-brainer? Wouldn't it be like, yeah, I will switch, right? I will switch to that service because it's priced better and it has better stuff and it pays me every day? Of course, it's a no-brainer, and people will never quit. The retention is amazing. Okay, so let's give an example. Cirrus Safe, right? Storage, digital storage, $9.99 a month. Okay, you're getting 6 terabytes of storage for your pictures and your digital files and all those things. But not only is it safer, not only is it more protected, not only is it decentralized, okay, with no central control, no surveillance, more secure, more transparent, and everything, you're getting 3 times as much space for a better price. Okay, 6 terabytes of safe storage with purpose and at a way better price than the competition. All the others from Dropbox to Google Drive, all they're more expensive and less secure. But the triple advantage, Cirrus Safe is paying you out rewards every day, whereas Dropbox and the others, and Google Drive and the others do not. Okay, what do you get? Well, if you have an active subscription on file, you're going to get 20 daily rewards. And if you refer somebody else, if you say to somebody, hey, you should check out the Cirrus Safe thing, right? You paying for Google Drive, you paying for Dropbox, hey, you should maybe make a switch and use the Cirrus Safe instead, and you're going to get 2 rewards just for telling somebody about it. Right? Kind of cool. But on top of that, 20 daily rewards. Okay, wow. What if that was worth a penny? Oh, okay. Well, that's 20 cents a day, right? If it was worth $1, well, that would be 20 bucks a day just because you made the switch to Cirrus Safe. Wow. All right. What about meeting? Okay. A lot of people love Zoom. A lot of people like Google Meet. There's so many other types of meeting platforms out there. Okay. But again, triple advantage. So With Meetin, Noti powered, okay, it's a conferencing software just like Zoom, but way more features, right? For the same exact price of $19.95 a month, guess what? You're getting so much more. Okay. You're getting triple the amount of attendees. You're getting 10 times the amount of storage for your recordings. You're getting unlimited branded meetings. You're getting no duration limits. You're getting language translation that Zoom doesn't have. You get a teleprompter. You got customizable widgets. You got breakout rooms. You got interactive web pages. You got call to action buttons. You got featured chat messages, app and web option, all the different things that if you were to do it on Zoom, all those add-ons and everything, Zoom would cost you almost $500 a month. But you get it all. You get all the features for just $19.95 a month included. And you get daily rewards because you're using Meetin instead of Zoom, right? It is unreal. What do you get? 40 rewards every single day. Is a penny? Oh, okay. Yeah, 40 cents a day. If it was 10 cents, $4 a day, right? If the notary rewards are worth $1, $40 per day, because your Meetin subscription is a micro node, X1 micro node, that's paying you out every single day. And if you refer it to other people, you also get 400 rewards. If you host a meeting, here's the participation thing. Just for hosting this meeting tonight with all of you, I get 10 rewards per meeting, maximum of 30 rewards per day, right? So, okay, again, that's worth a penny. Okay, I got 10 cents for hosting this meeting tonight. If it was worth 10 cents, oh, I got $1. If it was worth $1 per Noti token, I got paid $10 just for hosting this meeting with all of you, okay? And I can do it every day. And then, of course, you're getting other rewards that are one time. So for the first time you log in, just to check it out, you got 200 rewards. If you watch the intro video, you got 200 rewards. You create your first custom Meetin widget, you got 200 rewards. You're getting paid for participating, not just for being in a room. It's so fun. All right. Well, on top of all, if that all wasn't enough, what if you are saying, hey, you know what? I don't want to wait for it to go from a penny to 10 cents to $1 and all those things. I want some now money, right? Is there a way to have now money where I get paid in dollars, not rewards? And the answer is yes. So Cirrus offers a really cool program where you can be either an affiliate or what we call an associate. Okay. So what that means is if you become a Cirrus representative, now you have the opportunity to participate in a compensation plan or compensation model where you can refer to other people, and when they get one of the products, whether they buy a node or they get one of the services, they sign up for Meetin, they sign up for anything else, you get paid in dollars the following Friday. Okay. So how do you do it? How do you become an affiliate? It's free. You just join for free, completely free, sign up. You now are a Cirrus representative. And guess what? You now get to earn 20% on anything that's happening from the people that you bring to the table. And if you want to bring other affiliates and associates, great. Build a team, perfect. You can do that. If you just want to get customers that just want to use the products and services, you can do that too. Okay. So either way, doesn't matter. You're getting paid weekly commissions on whatever products and services they get. Okay. But if you do want to build a team, if you're a leader and you feel like you can create some duplication and get things growing and everything with a team, then you want to be what's called an associate, because now you've got a 6th generation compensation model that you can take advantage of to kind of accelerate and leverage the growth of the team. Right? So let's take a quick look at how this all ties together. So the very first thing is that besides the 20% you're earning, right, you're also getting referral rewards when somebody buys a node from you. Okay, so if somebody decides to get a full node, not only are you going to get the 20% of the purchase price, you're also going to get 2,000 rewards for that. Okay, half nodes are worth 1,000, quarter nodes are 500, and mini nodes are 200. So you get those rewards every time somebody buys a node. But let's do a real world example. Okay, so let's say you enroll 3 people, right? You went and you found 3 people that you knew that wanted to be a digital landlord. They want to buy a full node. Well, you're going to make 30% because you bump up. Once you go past $1,000 in sales, you actually bump up to 30% instead of 20%. Okay. So in this situation, you're going to make 30% of each of these sales, right? So you're going to get $360 times three, or 1,080, right? But you would get 720 on the following Friday because it's 20% weekly, and then you get the extra 10% the following month on the 10th of the month. Okay, so but just sell three nodes per month, and you're making an extra $1,000 a month. Okay, pretty cool. But not only that, you're also getting those 2,000 rewards per full node sale. So that's an additional 6,000 rewards, right? And do the math at 1 cent, $60, 10 cents, $600. And if it was a dollar, that would be $6,000 in rewards. Wow. Okay, here's another example. You get customers, okay? Customers on the Meetin product. 20% of the monthly subscription, paid out each Friday, $4 per person, 10 subscribers, you're now making an extra $40 per month. You keep sharing and you get to 10 or to 100 subscribers over time, there's an extra $400 every month. You also earn 400 rewards per subscription. So with 10, that would be an extra 4,000 rewards, which 1 cent is $40, 10 cents, $400. And if it was a dollar per token, that would be worth $4,000, right? And again, it's an example. The rewards could be less or more, it just depends. Well, and real world example number 3. You're an associate and you're building a team. You want to have $100 worth of personal volume every single month to qualify, okay, on the multiple levels. So your main goal is to make sure you're in profit, so it's not coming out of pocket. So here's a strategy. You just do what we would call a 3 is better than free model, where you find your 3 top leaders, okay, and you're going to help them duplicate what you're doing. In other words, you get 3 and they help get 3, and so on, and you just kind of build it out that way. Well, if they're purchasing, you purchase a mini node for $100 every month, and then you also get Meetin, right, for 20 volume. They do the same thing. And with the 3 frontline leaders, guess what? You're earning $30 per mini node. So there's 90. You also earn $4 per Meetin. So that's an additional 12. Now you're earning 102, which is more than you have to spend. So you're now in profit. Okay. You duplicate that 3 times, and now you're making well over $500 a month just on that. But over time, this will continue to build and duplicate exponentially with no cap on the potential earnings, right? You can enroll as many as you want. You don't have to only do 3. You can enroll as many people as you want and have it duplicate, which could potentially be tens of thousands of dollars or more every single month in the organization. So, my friends, it's all about timing. The world is becoming decentralized. It just is, okay? Almost everything is using blockchain nowadays. And we are pioneering the category creating digital landlordship concept, where 93% of the world has yet to adopt blockchain technology. Your timing could not be better. Cirrus is making blockchain now available to the masses through these everyday services that we all know and love. So the future's now. Secure your place, get involved, join the global community, embrace sovereignty, embrace transparency, the power of participation, contribute to this decentralized future for everyone. Say no to those big tech companies and big banks and everything else that are trying to control your future, right? Be a digital landlord, because you can do it for as little as just $10 a month. Get back to whoever invited you to watch this. Ask your questions, get your answers, and join us today, because it's happening with us or without us. So we might as well jump on board the train and take advantage. And we're spending money on these different services anyway. We might as well do it on a blockchain. All right, well, that is the presentation. Thanks for jumping on with me tonight. Hopefully that was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. Reach out, and I'll get the answers for you. And let's do it. Let's go and change the world with one note at a time. All right, take care, everybody. Have a good night. Talk soon.